first day of open practice, and for you to be here and to show this support to the team and to the players, we can't express to you how happy that makes us to have you guys here, man. So, please give yourself a hand. All right, as we're going today, you're going to see a team you're going to be really proud of how hard they battle, how hard they compete, and they're absolutely going to be going for it. So we can't wait to get this whole thing connected with you, with them, home field advantage, everything that we want to create together. So let's get it rocking.
and I'm pumped to get started because
first open practice with the fans. And so to see this connection, fan base, and this team, and how important that is. So to have this kind of turnout, what we're expecting on day one of an open practice, I think that's really cool and appreciative. So let's get the whole thing rocking. So glad to open up to you guys and get going.
I want to touch on a different topic. Jaden Daniels.
Okay, we haven't done that before. That's good.
But I am curious, from your perspective, having gone against rookie quarterbacks as a defensive coordinator, how does that help you shape what you want to see from him during camp to get him ready?
Yeah, because you're not going to give every look, correct, in terms of what they are going to see. But for any young player, quarterbacks, other positions, what's the same, John, and then what's different? So for a quarterback, the 2-minute timing rules are different than they are in college. So, getting on the ball and playing quickly, yeah, it's 2 minutes. It's the same, but different. And so those are the examples of things, of timing rules and field locations that are different. As far as the defensive coordinator goes, matchups and where it is as opposed to moving quickly in college, sometimes you don't get into those, but knowing your own team, your own strengths and matchups, that's something that quarterbacks in the NFL start that trajectory quickly.
And how can you help him get there?
Well, I think, one, the system can too, to make sure, what's the read, what's the look, to find it, and then non-scripted plays after we get through installs, those help, where there's not an alert or something coming from the coach, but just truly non-scripted sessions, which we'll have quite a few of those as well.
Hey, Dan, you've talked obviously a lot about wanting to find what these guys can do beyond their sort of stated position with Sanders still. What have you kind of seen with him so far, and how do you kind of think he might be able to fit in ways maybe you didn't think before?
Yeah, we still are exploring some more of that. What I have seen is excellent ability to stay connected man-to-man. He's a very good communicator, very intentional about that. We've put him back some on the return because he has excellent ball skills, so punt returning and kick returning. And so I just want to keep exploring that and then make sure we're never adding so much that it takes away from learning, at his primary position. But that'll include the special teams portion on the return side for sure. So that would be one bend that, added value that he could do.
There are some coaches who get squeamish about putting, regular starters on special teams, on returns. You've had several guys, notable all players back there. Does that bother you to have starters out there, or do you go hey, if you can make the plays?
Yeah, I think the value is there to say if you can add value to what we're doing and make explosive plays and do things, and I think you'll also see that with kickoff, Ben, that it's going to be a little bit different because it's not the same distance that guys used to run. So we have to change our thinking a little bit on that specific play because as far away as you and I are, that kind of speed and space, the guys who can make plays in those 5-yard blocks and windows, there's a lot to find out about that. And guys who can win in those circumstances, I think could end up changing field position quite a bit.
You mentioned the fan day a little bit. Is there a palpable difference in energy at all? I mean, I know you guys play. Okay, all right.
There is, Chicken. I honestly, I felt it, early this morning driving in and seeing people, parking up on the grass to get here early, and it's such a cool reminder to know, this historic fan base here, and knowing, finally, a real part of that. And so to see that, it definitely brought up a good feeling of, what is next here. As far as the energy that happens, it's good because what you want at practice is really getting ready to practice performing. And so the more people, energy, crowd noise, of things that can go with that, that's all part of performing. And so it's a fun part of having that experience.
And how much of bringing a guy like Austin Eckler or Bobby Wagner in, we know they can perform, but how much of that thought process was these guys can also teach?
Yes, and I think sometimes the example is just by being them, not having to do something extra. But Austin's, process that he goes through, remarkable. Same with Zach, same with Wags. So seeing that, you don't have to even bring someone along. It's just the essence of who they are and what they do. So I can remind them when we first signed them, hey, you're not brought in here to coach, you're brought in here to play and do things and leading in your own way. Early on, leading I thought, was mostly about me and how I lead. And then as you get a little more chrome, you realize leading is about bringing out the leaders in others. And so when you have a chance to do that,
I think that's really important.
We'll know more about the offensive, defensive lines when the guys get in pads, but particular to Dante Fowler, why did you want to bring a guy like him in, or why did you want to bring him here?
I think just having the speed and the pass rush ability off the edge. I don't think you've ever heard a coach say, boy, we don't have enough pass rushers. And so I've got a long history with Dante. I know what he's capable of. And so he was somebody I thought would add real value, especially in the chances, third downs and 2 minutes, where he can really put that part of his game on display.
Hey, Coach, when it comes to Luke McCaffrey, what have you been seeing from him thus far? And I know we've talked a lot about those veterans that are kind of taking young guys under their wings. Guys specifically, I'm assuming like a Terry, Jahan. What have you seen from the vets, too?
Yeah, and Terry just, I'd said this the other day, just there's so much about him of what does a pro look like. You know, when he steps into that arena, it is all business all the time. And so Luke has a lot of those traits. So to see what it can look like from a professional at the same position to go, it's excellent. I also love seeing the connection with him and Bobby, you know, because Bobby Ingram, if you were playing receiver, he's somebody you'd want to develop underneath. He's seen it, he's coached it, he knows what it looks like. He can see it from the lens of the helmet. And so that's a rare person that can do that. So, yeah, I'm encouraged by what we've seen. Came in with high expectations about the competitor, but the ability to learn and apply it has been excellent too.
Just to follow up about McCaffrey, given that he's only played the position for a couple years, where's his skill set at? Is it still fairly green in your opinion, or is it more refined than you expected?
I would say it's more refined than I expected. That's a great question because I'd say, you know, his work ethic is higher than most. And so I'm sure at Rice, that transition, he applied it at a very high level. You can see he's curious about learning and finding new ways to do things. Perhaps playing quarterback, you know, had an impact on that in terms of concepts and depth and the importance of that. But the individual skill part, he's really coming on. So I would say it's further than I thought it would be, but I'm not surprised based on his makeup. So I would say, you know, it's definitely going to be going up, you know, the more he's here, but he was further along than I had anticipated.
And Nick Allegretti, what did you see in him that you wanted to bring him in football-wise, but in his time here, what has he done also for just the locker room?
Yeah, what I had known there was some leadership there with him, and so for guys like he and Tyler Biotic, sometimes their leadership, it's not suppressed because that's not the right word, but they might be in a O-line room or others that already had somebody that was established as a leader. In other words, like Tyler's time in Dallas had Tyron Smith and Zach there, so it wasn't like, hey guys, this is how we're going to do things. But there is an element with Nick and Tyler getting started here that they're able to establish some of that, you know, the traits and the things they have learned and the way they want to lead. So he's strong, he's square, you know, as an offensive guard. But past that, he also has some excellent qualities as a teammate that he can pass along to others. I love guys that have gone through some journey because they're able to relate to different aspects of someone's career. And so for a guy like Nick, has awareness for that.
During your intro presser, you mentioned the things you were looking for in a new franchise was ownership, GM, fan base. What did you know about this fan base coming in, given that the franchise hasn't been where they wanted it to be for the last several years?
Yeah, I think probably it leads to me growing up, you know, on the East Coast. And so, you know, seeing the games of Washington and New York and Philadelphia and Dallas, and like those were the ones that, you know, when John Madden and Pat Summerall were calling a game, like that was the ones that were on. So, and then, you know, going to college locally here. So growing up and where I, you know, fell in love with football, you know, you recognized, you know, what that was here. And I can still remember even, you know, telling, you know, Mr. Jones when I left, you know, Dallas, and he said, that's such an important fan base, Dan, that you're the right man for that. And so I appreciated that. This is from a competitor who knew the importance of this franchise, this city, and he had saw that connection firsthand. So, yeah, it's really cool to be a part of.
Is there things that you can do as a coach or as a team to help rebuild the fan base other than win?
It's a good question. It certainly helps. More than anything, I think you want to recognize they're part of what we do and how we play. And so knowing that, you know, creating home field advantage and that kind of support, that's part of winning. And so when teams have to come here to play, that's a hard place to go play. It's the team, it's the fan base, it's everything that goes into it. So yes, the staff and the team can affect that, knowing how important they are to create an environment here when teams come to play. Hey, man, this is going to be a hard day. It's the team, it's the fan base, it's the noise, it's all of that wrapped into competing. And the more our fans live that and understand that, it'll help the on-field performance. So, yeah, we're calling on that in a big way.
Just to that point, I mean, today might be kind of the first day where there's a ton of fans, but how has your interaction with fans been, just grocery store or restaurants, whatever?
Yeah, it's been very cool to see, a support. Hey, we're pumped you're here. We're glad, that this thing, go get them, that kind of stuff. So seeing that, when you're part of the community, it feels good, because usually, like, when you're in the office and you're just here at home, you don't feel it on a regular basis. So being out and seeing some people and feeling that support, it's really a cool thing.
Jordan McGee, rookie. What has he shown you so far? How impressed have you been? What's his role kind of looking like?
I'd say the speed and the athleticism is what jumps out at me. He's got a rare quickness and short area burst to him that the really good linebackers have. He plays square, and he's got real speed, so we're going to push him hard in those spaces, but he's off to an excellent start.
Hey, Coach, could you talk a little bit about the red zone area? Are you seeing what you like in that area down there? Is it starting to be what you want it to be in the red zone?
Yes, and there's some common themes now that will come up down in the red zone. It's a quarterback that gets out of the pocket to create a second play. The windows happen tight, oftentimes more man-to-man, so you're not defending the field as much vertically, but how do you, control it laterally and up the field? So we'll do it again tomorrow and have a big red zone emphasis. So in each block of 3 days, there's a red zone emphasis. So the team will go today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, and we'll focus again in the red zone tomorrow. So almost every part of each block of football will have that as part of it. And sometimes there's competitions. Tomorrow we'll have a 2-point play competition, just best out of 5, and just working through different plays, different concepts.
Coach, for a lot of your players, this is their first time playing in front of Commanders fans, even if it's just a practice. What was your message to your players as they embark on this journey at training camp, playing in front of the Commanders fans for the first time?
What we're all starting to learn is, like, the importance of practice here. Like, the only way to become excellent at something is to practice. Like, that is the way. And so adding the fan base into that, the excitement, the performing that goes with that, that's really important, because you don't want to, ever assume, okay, in the lights, how's it going to go? But seeing that type of support and enthusiasm with that, that's a really big piece. So, yeah, we're really pumped about everybody being here.
Got time for 3 more. Good morning, Coach. This is the time frame sometimes in training camps where maybe there could be some infighting. Have you had any conversations with the players about frustrations with going up against the same guy every rep?
We haven't had conversations about that, but we will. But what I do know, like, the animosity and fighting is not going to be part of what we do. Championship teams figured out they don't have ways that, get sideways in doing that, so it won't be part of what we do. If you lose your poise, in a game, there's consequences. If you lose your poise at practice, there'll be consequences. But no, it's nothing that I've had to address yet. I did early in the OTAs to make sure that didn't get that way.
And then rookie quarterback Sam Hartman, can you just kind of share a little bit about your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, and I thought coming in, there won't be as many reps for Sam in the first, part of training camp. As we move forward and get, more extended play and we can extend the practices some, there'll be some more reps. So in a ramp-up period, you keep things a little more confined, but as we extend some practices, there'll be some more play. But he's just somebody that's been all in to say whatever you need and how do we get there, he's about it. And so he's here early, he's staying late. So you guys probably see the before practice, after practice work that he's putting in. So it's nice to see a young guy in his spot. Although he's not getting reps, he's pushing it hard to find his own ways to get better.
Candy, last one. Coach, we've seen a couple of flags, maybe a few get thrown here and there. So what's the kind of learning process of why that flag was thrown and just the overall one-on-one touch base with that player?
Yeah, and I think what you want, Candy, is to avoid pre-snap and the post-snap, because those can really come down to discipline. A post-snap of a poise or a pre-snap of an offsides or a false start. If there's a combative penalty, then you can coach from that and teach from that. It's holding or hands to the face or PI or, whatever that might have looked like. So it's the combative ones that we want thrown to see where we go. The ones that are lack of discipline mistakes, those are the ones we know we have to get rid of our game, a false start, a jumping off sides, and so those ones can really hurt you. So knowing the two different types of penalties to go, we understand the combative ones will happen, but the ones pre-snap and post-snap, those are the ones that just can't be part of what we do. All right, thanks, guys. Looking forward to seeing everybody.
He was beating ESPN. The guy was killing it.
Plus 15 on
Yeah, the guy was killing it. All right, guys.
People just bet with me. Y'all would have been good.
All right, we got time for a couple.
How are discussions going with Commanders?
They're going really well, and I think, and they see and they take a notice that I was here on the first day. That's how excited I am. Not just about what I think the team can do on the field, but what I think we can do together off of the field. I really do believe deeply that Prince George's County and the work around the Blue Line corridor, it was built for the kind of franchise that the Commanders is, for their future vision is, where they can create winners on and off the field. So I think it's important to show that on a Sunday morning, the first day that fans are actually allowed to come here and witness what's going on, that I was here on the first day.
What's your sense of the timeline for when they want to make a decision on where to go?
Well, I think for all of us, we want to be aggressive. I don't think that any of us have any incentive of dragging things out. We want to get moving. We are a very aggressive administration. We like getting big things done. We think we're putting together a fantastic offer to be able to create a real live, work, play environment throughout the entire Blue Line corridor. We've already allocated $400 million as far as towards this effort. And I just believe that this is going to be a place where you can have not just great football, but also a place to have a great environment for fans and for families. So we're really excited about what this is going to be.
John, you got one right here.
From a construction standpoint, could you fast track that and speed it up?
Oh, yeah, we are willing to put all things on the table to make sure that we can have a flourishing franchise within Prince George's County, a flourishing franchise along the Blue Line corridor. And so everyone on our team understands the level of aggression that I want to put towards this.
What would it look like? Would you try to build it next door, like in those parking lots? Like what would the physical thought be?
Well, I think a lot of it is the partnership with the team. We want to hear their thoughts. We want to hear their ideas. The thing that we know is we don't just have land and space, but we have opportunity and we have a vision. And so we really see this as something that you can have an entire experience that exists to make this really a great place for fans to come, not just come watch games, but for people to be able to live and exist as well.
John?
In addition to all the stuff you said, how much, when you look at what's going on in Congress, this year, kind of how it's slowing down there, how much does that raise the optimism level for you to get it done?
Well, I've been very encouraged by the amount of support that we've been able to get from Congress, from people from both sides of the aisle. And I know that there's a lot of things that are both happening now and a lot of things that we're working on to make sure that we can get done. In addition to football and how we're thinking about the future Commanders, we also have things like the Key Bridge that we're working on. So I've been very encouraged by the level of support that we've gotten from both sides of the aisle. And even though sometimes it can feel difficult getting things done in Congress, I feel like we can get a lot of done.
I also meant like what's going on in California. Does that raise the optimism that we get done?
Yeah, I just believe that when you look at the options that we have, the options that are on the table, no one can question our level of commitment, our level of devotion, and frankly, our vision and our aggressiveness. We're a jurisdiction that has full alignment with our congressional delegation, full alignment with our local elected officials, full alignment where you know that you have a chief executive who really wants to get this done and get it done in a quick and frankly in a sustainable fashion. And so I know that there are people and there are options. I just don't think you're going to find a better option than what we're going to be able to offer in the state of Maryland.
Anybody got any football questions? We got a governor here that averaged 25 yards after the catch, guys.
I'm just saying.
How similar is the site plan you have now to the one that you developed under when you were working with Snyder's team?
This is a very different conversation. One of the things I really like about this ownership group, and again, for many members of the ownership group, these are people who we've known for a long period of time, long before I became the governor. And I know their commitment to doing this right. I know their commitment to creating winners on and off. But I know their commitment to also creating a legacy project that people can be really proud of. I cannot say that they had that same level of conversation with the former ownership group or frankly the former administration. This is a new day in the state of Maryland, and it's a new day with the Commanders.
All right, guys, I think we've got enough of these questions. If anybody's got any football questions, have to answer those.
Expectation for this team this year.
I think people are very excited about this team. I mean, when you add on a real workhorse like that, and you're really getting a solid back that gives you consistent yards. When when you have someone like McLaurin. I mean, we're talking about somebody who was a consistent 100 yards a game kind of person, and then you get an arm like Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, and he's a special talent, and he's a unique talent. Now, I think the big question is going to be how that transitions from a college game from LSU into the pros. But I think he has all the natural raw skills to be able to make that transition. And if you can make that transition smoothly, there's nothing in the NFL like him. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Commanders are so excited to get someone like that on board. The upside potential of if he works out is staggering. And I think you're seeing something very similar to what you had in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, right? Where Lamar Jackson, I think, in a very short period of time showed that he is a special talent and someone who's very difficult to prepare for. I think Jaden Daniels actually has that much.
Could you talk about also just the new changes here with all the new coaches, Dan Quinn and all the people he's brought in?
Yeah.
Seems like that they're finally moving in the right direction. Could you talk a little bit about that?
I think that's exactly right. I think people are excited that there's a winning culture being brought on board here, and winning cultures actually do matter. You're talking about someone like Dan Quinn, who has a history of winning with other franchises and can bring that same type of attitude and that same type of aggression now to the Commanders. Not to mention the fact that he's one of Salisbury's finest. So as a Marylander, I love the fact that we brought Dan Quinn back. But I think you see that, and frankly, I think you're seeing it up here. I mean, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the stands are packed. I heard there were people here from 4 o'clock in the morning lining up to get inside and get a first peek at what this team is. So I think the energy is real because building a winning culture matters. And there's one thing that we know, winners win. That's what they do. And so when you bring winners on board, you're going to get a better chance of success. Got time for one more?
Are there any players that...
Okay, whatever y'all want. Football preferred.
Your name has been floated as long hair. Your thoughts on
I will do anything to be able to support the vice president. I believe in her. I believe in her vision. I believe in where she wants to take the country over the next 4 years. I also know that I love my job. And I don't have any intention of leaving my job. I look at where Maryland is right now, the momentum Maryland has on every single indicator, from numbers of public safety and the drop that we've seen in violent crime to the economic growth and momentum. Maryland now at 2.8% has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country. When I was inaugurated, we were 43rd in the country. So I love what Maryland is doing right now. I will support the vice president however I can, but I've also been very clear with her and her team for a week now. I don't have any interest in leaving my job. I love my job.
Go, how are we doing on beer in grocery stores?
It is the #1 political issue every single year. We've got to get it done.
That's a JP special.
Seriously, it's a JP special. Beer in grocery stores, and what is up with this time limit? It's like, make it earlier. Who says beer isn't a breakfast food? Thanks, guys.
Hey, Daron. Tell me about the defense first week, how you guys are coming together here in training camp.
We're really working on just flying around and get to the ball, hunting. That's the main emphasis right now. Just you want everybody hunting. Everybody should be around the ball, no matter how far the ball down the field. So this year we're gonna try to be hunting and getting after them.
Tell me a little bit about the scheme and how it fits for you and John. Some of the carryovers that are kind of working through the new scheme with Witt and Quinn.
Man, they letting us just go. He's letting us just be explosive, be explosive guys, get after the quarterback, get after the run game. So, Jade have made plenty of plays already this camp, just being explosive, getting out the ball, not worried about nothing. So it's gonna be fun to see. I think we're gonna make a bunch of plays.
I don't know if this has been asked yet, but the past couple of years in the previous defense, you guys were just asked to win one-on-one a lot.
Yeah.
Running more games and stuff now up front, how does that benefit you, and how do you think it'll help your game?
I definitely get an offense something different to see. They won't be able to scheme us up and just focus on what we do one-on-one. Just you can be able to scheme a guy up and look at what they do best and scheme them out of game. So with us being able to move and do games and just do all that work together, I feel like it's going to be a lot for offenses.
Coverage of the last 3 camps, this looks like physically the best shape that you've come in. What do you feel about your body, and did you do anything different this offseason to get yourself ready?
Man, I really, every offseason I be on it, man. I get straight to it. I usually stay around here and train hard, but shoot, like I said, with the new defense we got, they want us hunting, so we got to be around the ball. If we're not around the ball, it's a bad play no matter what you did. So they want us fine. So I feel like that's just getting me in shape already.
Hey, Daron, working with Daryl Tapp, this past few months, what has that been like, and what have you learned from him so far?
Man, he has a lot of intent in what he do, and like the drills that we do, and like the work that we put in. We just don't come out here and just do things to waste time. Like he thinks about it and preps ahead and do things to get us in good shape and have like good technique and stuff.
And working with like Clelin Ferrell and Dorrance Armstrong, the two new guys that you've got in, what has it been like working with those guys?
Oh man, it's fun, man. That boy Clee, he one of the guys. He high energy, high effort. He go get after the quarterback, and all them boys, man. It's just like it's fun to see like coming from rushing with Montez Sweat and Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan. It's just fun to see like different DNs come in and how they move and what things they do to get wins and stuff.
Daron, the guys behind you, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, you have a very different linebacking core. How have they kind of assimilated into what you guys are trying to do as a group?
I mean, those are two veteran guys, man. Bobby Wag, he commands the huddle, and we listen to him. He gets it out to us, and I feel like they're gonna be really good for our defense.
But I'm good, thank you.
How's the start of camp going?
Pretty good. I just think it's been very competitive on both sides of the ball, and that's what you want. That's what you want at this time of the year. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be great plays. There's going to be good plays. There's also going to be some bad ones. But at the end of the day, you want the effort to be high, and I think our guys are doing that.
What are you specifically focused on right now?
For me specifically, just cleaning up some of my mechanics. I feel like I can always get better at those types of things. And then just mastering the offense, trying to get our guys in the best play possible, and making sure we can create advantages that way.
How much does Jaden Daniels kind of pick your mind as you guys are going through this, just during the day, at practice, whenever?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
How much does Jaden Daniels kind of pick your brain, just about things in general?
Plenty, and that's what's really been cool for me, is to have that dialogue, because I think when you have a guy that's willing to learn, that wants to absorb as much knowledge as he can, I think that really makes the whole room better. For Jaden, he's a young guy, but we got to do it as a part of our group. We have to kind of create these scenarios and these experiences for him. That way, when he gets into the game, it's not something that's brand new. So I think he's done a great job asking questions, and we can also always just kind of keep bringing him along.
And you guys have a lot of former quarterbacks on the coaching staff. Do you like that? Does that help you even at this stage in your career?
Absolutely, because it just creates conversation. More times than not, when you're able to have a bunch of guys in a room that have played the position, you can kind of you can have these problem-solving conversations. It's always going to be different day in and day out. Our defense does a great job of creating different looks, creating problems. So for us, I always believe if we can be in the problem-solving business, and when you have a bunch of quarterbacks that have played the position, that makes it a whole lot easier.
Hey, Marcus, first day with fans. Some players will say that once they get to business, it's all about business, and you kind of almost tune everything else out. Are you in that mindset, or does the fan energy around you really kind of impact your practice?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. It's awesome to have the fans out here. It's awesome to feel that energy. And it's also kind of cool for me to see, Hawaii flags. We're all the way here on the East Coast, and you have people that are bringing Hawaii flags or from Hawaii coming to practice. So it's such a cool event. I think it's awesome for fans to be able to engage with the players, and also for us to engage with the fans.
And then given the rules with obviously quarterback contact and everything, when the pads come on in training camp, how much different is it really for the quarterback position?
With the non-contact, it really isn't much different, per se. But I think for us, it's so much more up top, right? Our game is so much more focused on the mindset of it, how we're getting our guys in the best possible plays, how are we getting out of bad plays, just different things like that. So I think for us, this time of the year is such more of a mental grind, so that when we get to the season, our minds are ready to go and create these problem-solving. Just to create problem-solving for us. Sorry.
Hey, Marcus, with Jaden Daniels, you were talking about helping him to come along. Where have you seen the most improvement in his development, Jaden, as far as at this stage of camp?
Yeah, I think really just his understanding of the offense. He's done a great job of commanding once he's in there. it's never easy to come in and you've got guys that are 7, 11 years in. But his command, his willingness to learn the offense, to be prepared, I think he's done a great job of that. And the more that he can do that, I think that's going to create a lot of confidence with a lot of guys.
Marcus, right here. Marcus, you and Jaden are both Heisman winners. If there's ever been a time where you're kind of like, hey, I hope you know that like my Heisman was a little better than yours, a little competition like that?
No, not at all, not at all. It is pretty special to be able to share that. It's a very unique fraternity to be a part of, and to have him as a teammate and also somebody that's been a part of that journey as well is pretty cool, and we can share a lot of those experiences together.
Marcus, over here. What are some of the things you learned going through the same experience that Jaden is that can now help him?
Yeah, I think we talk about it all the time in the quarterback room. When you're a young guy, you really want to try to come in and be perfect, and I think that's hard, and I really think that can be detrimental in some sense to your growth. I really think you have to come out here, you're going to fail, you're going to have mistakes, and what you have to be able to do is to learn from those things. And I think he's got such a great mindset in that sort of space where he's just like, you know what, regardless of how this play results, I'm going to do my best to put our guys in situations that will be successful and just go out there and play. And when he's able to do that, I think that ultimately will kind of showcase his abilities and how good of a player he can be. Is
that about like not, maybe taking a chance with the ball? Is that kind of what you're talking about? What are in terms of making mistakes?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. It's maybe getting into a check or getting out of a bad play. So there's several instances where that may come up. I think for me personally, when I was a young player, I was just trying to be perfect, have the perfect feet, and you kind of lose that sense of playing the position and just being instinctual. So I think for us, we're just trying to help him kind of, hey, just be an instinctive player that you've been, but here's kind of what we want, kind of the guidelines that we want you to follow so you can go out there and be successful.
Hey, Marcus, tomorrow pads are, it's going to be a pad practice. I know you're still going to have the gold jersey on, but what is it? It's obviously a mile marker for the team. For the offense for you? What does it mean to get that part of this going?
Well, I think it's establishing the line of scrimmage. Our guys up front, it's been 6-7 months since they put pads on and have been hitting. So kind of getting that rust off in that sense. Our defense, I already know they're going to come in and set the tempo. So for us, it's just kind of making sure our guys are going in the right direction, but also just establishing line of scrimmage, creating leverage, and just going out there and using your pads.
You mentioned quarterback play, trying to be instinctual. Can you get to a point in camp where you are learning a new offense and you can be comfortable enough in it to be able to be instinctual like you would,
Yes, absolutely. And I think what's really been cool with us is we've had a ton of reps, whether that's mental reps in the classroom, in the meeting rooms, or out here on the field through walkthroughs, through plays. So I always feel like you learn the best when you experience it. So I think for all of us as quarterbacks, we appreciate that we get a bunch of reps. That way we can see it, we can feel it, and then once we get into these game-like scenarios, we'll be very comfortable.
And when you're watching other quarterbacks kind of try to get to that space, is it speed through reads? Is it going off schedule? How will you know when somebody's kind of feeling comfortable enough that they have a mastery of an offense?
I think it's a balance of those things. Anticipating where the ball should go, and then from there, if it doesn't look right or something's kind of not visually right in your mind, to go make a play. I think with all of our quarterbacks here, our guys all can create with their legs, and as you can see across the league, that type of dimension on offense is very, very key, and I think it's very critical. And the more that we can play on time, but also create and have a balance of those things, is when you start to see guys playing very instinctual. Yeah, he's done a great job. It's not easy, and when you're coming in to be the guy to kind of revitalize a franchise, it is tough. But I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's done a great job of handling all that, and we can always kind of help him through that, right? We can kind of be that shoulder he can lean on. We can be kind of that guy that he can lean to in terms of experiences and, hey, what happened here? How did you do that? And he's done a great job asking questions too. So just kind of all together helping him through that. But I really believe he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's handled it well.
Marcus, since you've gone through it before, the expectations of the rookie, and not asking for Jaden specifically, but where are you at with the idea of, hey, if you drafted a quarterback early, put him in, start him versus watch, learn, and get used to what's happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it ultimately comes down to each person individually. Some guys kind of come out hot and play really well, and then there's also some guys that have really benefited from taking a couple years or taking a few months and watching and learning. So I think it's really going to come down to the coaches and how they feel the young quarterback is progressing. And I really believe it really kind of falls on the quarterback room. How can we help him feel most comfortable and confident? And then from there, it ultimately is him to make the plays and go out there and do his thing. Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable right away. For me personally, like probably my best 2 years of my career, my first couple. So I was lucky to have a good quarterback room. I had a vet in Charlie Whitehurst and Zach Mendenberger who really took care of me. And then my second year with Matt Castro and Alex Tanning, when you have a quarterback room that's really focused on helping the young guy, you can't take anything away from that. It's really special. So I was very fortunate early on in my career to have that, and we're trying to create that type of atmosphere here for Jaden.
Marcus, right here. We talked about how the fans impact practice, but this is your first chance getting to see them as a member of the organization. Can you talk about what they added for you for practice and how you've adjusted to the area?
It was great. I love having the fans here at practice. It creates an energy, creates an atmosphere, and it's fun. For me specifically, to see Hawaii flags, that was really cool. And I really love the Ashburn area. I love the DMV. I think it's been a really easy transition for my family and I. We love the diversity. We love being able to go out and eat and do all those types of things, and we've really enjoyed it. So as this year goes on, we look forward to meeting fans and being a part of this, and we're thankful we're here.